Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. Let's get started with another incredible show. We're streaming on live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're also on the E360 TV network. We're also on Business Innovators Radio Network, and we're also on mspnewsglobal.com. Apple, Android, Roku, many more. Fire. If I was to list them all, there's so many platforms. Let's bring in our incredible guest, the incredible Penny Hopkinson. Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, Penny.
Thank you, Mark. I'm delighted to be here.
I'm looking forward to a conversation with you today, Penny. Let's get started by just sharing a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, Mark, I'm, as you mentioned earlier, the founder and CEO of Manual Magic AI. And Manual Magic AI is a platform that is multimodal, and it enables people to create standard operating procedures and operations manuals that are detailed, practical, and help replicate business systems.
Let's go a bit deeper then, Penny. I love what you're about. So let's start with the basics. When people hear the phrase operations manual, it can sound quite corporate, but what does it actually mean in practical terms, and why do businesses really need one?
In practical terms, an operations manual is something that will protect your intellectual property, because you've documented all your processes, so you actually have something that proves that you created a replicable process. And you need it to help scale your business because it's the basis for continuous improvement. And finally, if you're thinking of selling your business, you definitely need an operations manual, because if you don't have one, it doesn't add the value that an operations manual will bring to the sale of your business.
That's very, very important. We have to add as much value as possible, Penny. In your experience, what usually happening inside a business when the owner finally decides they need help creating an operations manual?
Well, there are two scenarios. I deal a lot with franchises and licenses. And in the UK, under the terms of the franchise agreement, you must have an operations manual for each of your franchisees from the moment they start with you to the moment they decide to sell their businesses or move on. And what's happening is that the information that they hold within the business is scattered, it's not formalized. So they actually need a way of structuring all their processes so they can communicate those processes to, it could be a franchise, it could be a license, or it could be a member of staff, so that everything runs smoothly, but they don't know where to start.
And Penny, is there a common trigger?
I would say that the common trigger is we need to scale. How do we do it? We need to formalize our systems. We need to document them, because if we don't have this basis for continuous improvement, we're not going to scale the business.
Very, very important. When you're dealing with a larger organisation, especially a multi-site operation, what does the process actually look like, and how long does it typically take to build a proper operations manual?
Well, what we do is we create a project team. particularly with a multi-site business. And that team is a team of experts. And if it's a franchise, it will probably be a franchisee or a number of franchisees, depending on how big the network is. So we set up that team. We explain exactly what we're going to do, and it has taken up to a year to create an operations manual. Longer for someone, a business like Costa Coffee, the iconic brand. When I worked with them back in the beginning of 2000, and I think it was about 2007, it took 3 years to create a suite of operations manuals. And we had a huge team from Whitbread, and it was a rolling program of creating a structure, creating the content, drafting the content, making sure that the draft was absolutely perfect, and then publishing the content. But today we can do it much, much quicker with Manual Magic AI, because it was built to ensure that you can create world-class standard operating procedures, including infographics, checklists, FAQs, and storyboards, in up to 75% of the time it would normally take.
That's incredible, Penny, getting the quality. And that's where AI is really, really clever, cutting down the time, but still getting that real quality that people want as well. I love that. Now, Penny, you also published a book in October 2023. What was the motivation behind writing it, and what kind of response have you seen from business owners since it came out?
Well, the motivation was very simple, because today nobody likes that term operations manual. And I wanted to really disrupt the industry and say we should really be thinking about knowledge sharing, because young people today, they choose the business they want to work in. They also want to feel valued, motivated, and have play a really important part in the evolution of a company. And so I coined the phrase knowledge sharing environment, in which team members can participate, learn, and grow. And that meant that instead of taking the top-down corporate approach, we look at bottom-up and peer-to-peer engagement. And the response was phenomenal. I think we got something like 33 5-star reviews on Amazon. And everyone is saying, yes, we understand now. And I've been promoting knowledge sharing and a knowledge sharing ecosystem, which is what Manual Magic AI is. For the last 2 and a bit years since I published the book.
Share what the book's called, Penny, and how people can get a hold of it.
It's called Manual Magic: Create the Operations Manual Your Franchisees Need to Succeed. It's available on Amazon, or if you go to my Linktree website, then there's a link directly through. But Amazon, you can find it on. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can get it through Amazon.
Perfect. And more recently, you launched Manual Magic AI. What made you decide to create a tool like that, and when did it officially launch?
Well, as I think I mentioned earlier, it takes such a long time to create an operations manual, and people don't have the time today. I really thought that there must be a simpler way. I mean, I've been at the forefront of creating operations manuals since 1987. And we've seen it go from the horrible binder, which is more like a doorstop than anything else, through to, we put the Costa Coffee manual on CD-ROM, which was innovative at the time. Then, of course, we can put a digital copy on an intranet. But I wanted to find a way to take the pain away from people who need to create an operations manual. And the pain is blank page. We don't know how to start. We've got scattered IP all over the files, all this kind of thing. So I decided that I would test it, and I created a prototype because I love the sort of digital platforms, and I've been working with AI since ChatGPT was made available in October 2022. So I played around, and I fed it with a huge amount of my database material. I must have written something like 1,000 manuals over my lifetime. And I decided to ask a potential client to test it, because that was the way that I felt that it was the fairest test. And to cut the story short, it ended up by being an absolute game changer. And the potential client has got a network of nearly 70 outlets, and it passed with flying colours plus. And it really proved that I could have something that finding the right developer would create a tool that would fulfill and deal with all these pain points. So I found, or I think it was actually the developer found me. I'd known him for quite some while. He'd been developing a parallel product, and he agreed to help me create the platform, and we launched it last month, February the 17th.
I love it, Penny. I love what you're doing. Very clever stuff. Now, Penny, who should connect with you? Share for a moment how people can connect with you and who you would like to connect with you as well, please.
Well, if you're a solopreneur and you believe that you need a suite of SOPs, if you're a small business wanting to scale, and definitely if you're a multi-site organization and you need to replicate your business system across multiple outlets, please get in touch. You can either link with me on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Penny Hopkinson there, particularly with the addition of Manual Magic AI, so I'm easy to find. Or you can go to the website, which is www.manualmagic.ai. And you can also email me, penny@manualmagic.ai.
I love it. That's manualmagic.ai, or you can email penny@manualmagic.ai. I thoroughly enjoyed having a conversation with you today, Penny. I know you're so passionate about what you're doing, and there's so many exciting things happening in your world at the moment with all these launches and things. So thank you so much for coming on to Brilliance Business TV. I thoroughly enjoyed having a conversation with you.
Thank you, Mark. I've thoroughly enjoyed it myself.
Thank you everyone for joining us for Brilliance Business TV
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.